I'm Terrell Hicks, and you're watching the Q Chat with Go Queen.
Hey, Queens, and welcome to the Q Chat, the official podcast of Go Queen, where we have real conversations to inspire healing, growth, and purpose. I'm your host, Shronda Armstrong, founder of Go Queen magazine. Through my work, I help women develop purpose-driven brands that align with their truth, their voice, and their vision. Whether it's through media, branding, or storytelling, I'm all about helping queens shine unapologetically. Here on the Q Chat, we talk about all things self-love, mental health, entrepreneurship, and what it means to walk boldly in your purpose. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'm always here to remind you to go love yourself. Q Chat. In today's episode, we are thrilled to welcome Tosin Morohunfola. You might recognize him from his fantastic roles in shows like Run the World, The Chi, and much more. He's not just an actor. He's a screenwriter, director, and producer, and he's currently starring in Tyler Perry's latest holiday film, Finding Joy, on Amazon Prime. Today, Tosin sits down with us to chat about making the movie, working with Tyler Perry, navigating themes of grief, and of course, diving into our favorite topic, self-love. So stick around. This is a conversation you won't want to miss.
She's a queen about her business, working hard on a mission. Head high, purpose driven, crown on, never tilted, go queen. She's a queen about her business, working hard on a mission. Head high, purpose driven, crown on, never tilted, go queen, go queen. Go queen. Go queen. Go queen.
Hi, thank you guys for joining another episode of the Q Chat. Today I have a very special guest. You guys may have seen him in a lot of other productions, including The Chi and also Run the World, but currently he's starring in the #1 Amazon film written and directed by the incomparable Tyler Perry. Today I have filmmaker, producer, writer, director, Mr. Tosin Morohunfola. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Shonda?
I'm doing great. Thank you again for your time. Again, as I told you before we hit record, I watched Finding Joy twice, and I just thought it was such a great film. So it's such a pleasure to have you here today. So I want to start off with asking you about the film. How does it feel with the current success of the film right now?
I mean, it feels great that, this is one of those kinds of movies that's like heartwarming and full of like holiday joy. So now that we're past Thanksgiving and I'm just like watching everybody talk about how they're watching it with their families or they're getting this kind of feeling of hope and possibility from it. I mean, it sounds corny, but it really genuinely is uh inspiring. It's a great feeling.
Yes, and I think it's so great to just have some warm films, of course, with people of color because we definitely need that right now. So I wanted to ask you about the character of Riz, just like you mentioned, just with this time of year, holidays bring in a lot of emotions for different people. So I know the character Rich, he was dealing with loss and grief and a bit of loneliness for sure. Where did you pull that inspiration to bring the emotion to Ridge?
I love that you asked this question because for me, this is the heart and soul of the movie, and it's the thing I'm
Uh-huh.
most passionate about. There are a lot of men like Rich, people who feel like hard on the outside, feel rough and unapproachable, and sometimes unkind, and you just never know what kind of story they're actually living. And Ridge is someone who has a lot of trauma and a lot of grief that he's going through. He's experiencing the whole process of grief because of his mother. And there are so many Black men who, go through these feelings and aren't encouraged to express them, or they don't have a safe place to do it. And here Ridge is being this isolated character in the middle of nowhere, trying to just not think about it and put it to the side. And this woman comes and invades his space, and he does not like her. But eventually something changes and she becomes the key to unlocking all of that grief and giving him a way to kind of have catharsis and share it with somebody who values him. And I just think it's so important. So you're watching a love story at the one hand, and on the other hand, you're watching somebody finally address this burden of pain that he's been carrying. And that kind of thing, it has to be taught more and shown more. And for me, I just can say that I've experienced it myself. Like I know what
Mhm.
it's like to deal with grief and to not have a place to put it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it was very easy to tap into that and to bring that to the character.
Wow. Thank you so much for that amazing answer. And I love how you said just the vulnerability. I think that was the main thing that I took away from viewing the film the first time. Because, of course, like I said, I watched it twice, but from the first time, just someone, and I thought it was self isolation. Rich was living alone and just that vulnerability. And as you said, here comes someone invading his space. So he had to unpack quite a bit. And I think for
Yeah.
stories for people of color, and especially the way Black men are portrayed on film. I just thought it was such a delicate and important just view, just to show a man of color unpacking, and I just thought it was just such a wonderful portrayal. So you did an amazing job with that. So of course
Thank you.
I definitely have to ask you, how was it working with the GOAT, Tyler Perry himself? Like you definitely have to spill and give us the details on how it was working with him.
It was great. See, Tyler is so clear on his vision. Like he is somebody who just knows exactly what he wants. And when he first called me about the role, he was like, you know, he even told me to think of Heath Ledger's performance from Brokeback because it's that much of a rural country, inarticulate kind of guy, and that person who's waiting for the right person to unlock
Mhm.
his heart. And Tyler he just spelled it out really, really clear for me. And it turns out, I mean, everything about how he runs a set is incredible because it's all speed, it's economic, and you have to learn your part and you have to learn how to perform it in a quick way because you're moving on to the next shot so quickly. So as an actor, it became like a gym. It was like the most exciting kind of way to film because you really have to produce and produce quickly. In the span of a day, we would shoot 33 pages, which is a lot on film.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you have to be ready to produce and to do all of that. So you have to do all your homework, get your character together, and then it's time to go to the gym. So it was great. I had fun.
Wow. So I know, of course, as I mentioned, you are a writer, producer, director, and you've done several films like The Pulpit. So being around him, what was that like, from that perspective, with you having, your directing and everything? So I'm
Yeah.
sure you had to have pulled a lot to bring to your projects. How was that experience from that lens?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing you learn is you realize, Tyler Perry money is different. So his resources to produce a film are incredible, and you kind of see what that is, and you have to grab the things that you can use and apply it on a smaller scale. The project you just mentioned is going to be my feature film debut, and that's called The Pulpit, and I'm super excited about it. And what I've learned from this is I can actually apply some of that production scheduling, and we can truncate some of the shoot and execute the scenes quicker and get to the point faster because there's a lot of wasted time sometimes in film
Mhm.
production. And I kind of learned how to do that better. So I'll be applying it to a lot of my projects moving forward. And then just generally the camaraderie, he would start a day with prayer and he would get us all on the same base. And I think that there was something spiritual and beautiful about that?
Wow. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. I love it. I just love to hear that. So, of course, your co-star was the beautiful Shannon Thorpe. How was that experience working with her as well? You guys had amazing chemistry as well.
Thank you. Shannon was great. She is somebody who really, really, really knows how to live in a character. So it was very easy to just kind of like dive in and be with her. You know what I mean? We rehearsed like privately for like a week beforehand because you just have to get your mind around all this dialogue so you can produce it really quickly. And we connected immediately and we knew what to do. So it was one of those things that it was just smooth, you know?
Right. It seemed like everything definitely fit together in a perfect way. Like, I just really love too that he delved into like this holiday love story. It was like a mocha Hallmark film. So like I really
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a new modern classic. That was the goal. Like it should feel like something that is able to live up next to Brown Sugar, you know what I mean? Or able to
Oh
live up
yeah.
to any number of our old classics and just feel like, okay, this is one of our stories, you know?
Right. Because I feel like with filmmaking, there was a stage where I want to say like maybe the late 90s or so where like black love stories were just like a common thing on film. And then it
Absolutely.
kind of like died out for some reason. But at one point,
Yeah.
it was just so common to see Brown Sugar, The Best Man, you know,
Yes.
Love Jones. That was just like a
Yeah.
common thing. And it
Yeah.
just kind of faded away. So it's always refreshing to see us on film. We're falling in love. You know, like we need to show more black love stories. So that was just one thing I
Yeah.
definitely appreciated as well. So I want to ask you another question about the film, which I am going to ask you some more questions just about your filmmaking journey and your background. But one thing I did want to ask you, of course, the movie does, as we mentioned, it talks about healing and loss. Important was it with the message that I feel like it also dived into second chances? You know, because I think
Mm,
one thing about Rich too, with his character, I think he had like maybe kinda a sense of maybe, like, this was it, you know, that he was just gonna be in this town alone, and he had kinda accepted that that was just gonna be the end of his story, but, of
yeah.
course, once he meets, you know, the character played by Shannon, it was different, like, it was like, okay, he started seeing things in a different way. So how important do you think the message was also just to show that you can have second chances at love or just at a new perspective and a happier life?
I love that. And it's not just that too. It's also for herself as well.
Mhm.
I think that Shannon's character Joy gives up on herself
Right.
and undercuts her own ability to succeed in her business and to have her design studio to succeed in love, to find the man she loves because she's let down by the other guy that she thinks is supposed to marry her.
Mhm.
And similarly, Ridge is also somebody who he has put civilian life away. Like he's not trying to be in the world at all. And, you know, in terms of my own backstory, my own homework, I think he's somebody who probably considered leaving this world. But
Yeah.
instead, you know, the I think the beauty is and why I love the title also is if you leave yourself open to the possibility of finding joy,
Mhm.
you can heal some of the wounds that made you retreat and pull back from your goals. And then you can try again
Mm.
because it's not a simple on off switch of whether or not you're going to get the things you pursue or that you should keep trying. It is the ability to keep yourself open so that when you fall down you can get back up, you know. It doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down as long as you get up one extra time. And I just feel like both of these characters are going through different versions of that for themselves. And then love is the thing that can help you get to that next rising. And for them, I think they both unlocked that in each other.
Most definitely, and especially with Joy's character, how she had the foster kid background. So
Yeah.
even though like he was dealing with the grief and the loss of his mother, they still had similarities in a sense because had like several just missing pieces. And like once they
Yeah.
met, you know, it was like life finally was changing for the better. So I just thought it was just so great, just the backgrounds of the characters and everything. And of course, the on-screen chemistry was amazing as well.
Hey, Queen. If you're loving this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, or leave a comment, and make sure you share this episode with another queen who needs to hear it. And don't forget, if you're ready to build a purpose-driven brand, or if you want to get featured in Go Queen magazine, head over to www.goqueen.com and let's connect. Now let's get back to this episode. So I want to ask you some questions about your background. So I know that you are the son of Nigerian immigrants. So I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you what sparked your love for filmmaking and being on screen and acting? Like, how was that?
Well, if you ask my Nigerian immigrant parents, they will tell you that I was always, always, always ready to be on camera. They said I was dancing and performing for everybody when I was little. But I don't know, I've always gravitated to it. I think it started at
Mm,
church because church sometimes you'll do, little church musicals or little Christmas shows and stuff like that, and I would do those, and one time I got a big part, and then I just was like, "Oh, I need more of this."
mhm,
And, so I've always been into it, and then I think I just fell in love with the power of story because I
mhm,
started realizing how many stories changed my life, whether they're funny movies like Chris Tucker doing something in Rush Hour, or whether it's something, serious that would just shake my mind. And I did a lot
mhm,
of live theater too, so I've always known. I did not know that I was going to do movies. I just feel like God kind of led me there over
mhm,
time. But I also didn't know I was going to be a filmmaker on the other side of the camera. But the minute
mhm.
I did it, the minute I picked one up, I just it made sense. It suddenly clicked that I had more to offer to the world, to our culture, and to the world of storytelling as a person who picks up the pen himself and doesn't just perform.
Wow. Now, I know with your films, you have The Pulpit that we discussed briefly, and you also did another film called On Site.
Yeah,
Where do you draw your inspiration, like, in order to say, hey, this is a story that I think is worthy of putting on film? Where do you draw that
yeah.
inspiration?
Well, Onsite was done in 2015, sorry.
Hmm.
And that was my first film, and it was born right after the heels of Michael Brown being murdered and Trayvon Martin the year before that. This was a time when we were just starting to kind of have a national conversation about our lives and how we're dealing with systemic injustice. And I realized that as a creative, what can I contribute to this conversation? Well, I can make a film that sheds light on this tragedy and sheds light on the repeated nature of it. I come from Kansas. I'm from suburban area outside of Kansas City, where there's a lot of people in the Midwest who I love and adore, but there are a lot of people who don't understand the experience of being Black and don't understand how much life can be different for us, or things that they look at as protective institutions can be threatening institutions. So that film On Site discussed policing and discussed the importance of protecting people and the injustice within those systems. And then after that, I was like, I want to keep making films that have the power to address these social issues and hopefully to heal us from the mistakes we make in the past.
Mm, wow, that's something else. Now, I want to ask you as well, what advice do you have for aspiring filmmakers? Of course, there's a lot of,
Right.
people of color who are trying to put their stories on film. And I know there's so many different things, that comes into making a film. Of course, financing, staying
Yeah.
inspired, just sticking to your dreams. So what advice would you have for those aspiring filmmakers who want to make their stories and want to have them seen?
Yeah. Now more than ever, we need you.
Mm,
That's what I would say. Now more than ever, we need original stories. We need new filmmakers, and we need people who have something to say in this world.
right.
Somebody said it recently, and I fell in love with it because I think sometimes folks forget that this is truly the most powerful cultural agent, I think.
Mhm.
The storytelling that happens in film, when it's put out in the world, that can change hearts and minds and lives, that can shed light into the dark places. And while not every movie needs to have a sermon, I think every story needs to have a soul.
Mm,
And it's very vital that you be a filmmaker and a storyteller who has a soul that you want to bring to the world, because we will benefit from it. So
mm.
now more than ever, we need
Wow.
you.
That is so powerful. And I definitely agree. Just as I mentioned, there was a phase where it was so common to see Black love stories on the big screen, and then it kind of phased out. So
Exactly.
I do agree that we have to do everything we can to keep our stories on film, even if it's short films, even if it's on YouTube, Tubi, whatever. We have to definitely do whatever we can to keep our stories alive because we need to tell our own stories. So I definitely love that so much. So, one thing with the Q chat that is very important with us is mental health and self love. Again, the character Ridge, I felt that he was dealing with obviously grief and, dare I say, depression with everything he was going through with self isolation and everything.
Yeah.
What are some things that you do personally just to cater to your mental health and to just, you know, make sure that you're healthy emotionally just through this whole thing that we call life?
Yeah, that great question. I mean, for me, first and foremost, working out. I know it can seem superficial to some people, but physically taking care of your body and really spending that energy at the gym regulates your emotions. That is something I do very consistently. And then the spiritual life also makes a huge difference. And it's not just communicating with God, it's making sure that you're still on your purpose, on your mission. If you feel on purpose, you're going to feel a lot more fulfilled. And then the last thing is, pouring into others. When you pour into others, you refill your own cup. And whenever I'm able to be at home taking care of my family, or whenever I'm able to pour into my friends, then suddenly I know that all the work that I'm doing, all the stresses of the world, they are they're worth it because they're helping the people that I love the most. So that's those are my kind of three pillars, you know.
That's awesome. I love it. And another big thing with the Q chat is, of course, self love. How do you define self love and what role has it played in your life?
Oh yeah, self-love. I mean, it's everything. You can't really love somebody else unless you love yourself.
Right.
And it's not selfish. It's
Hmm.
not selfish to understand that you have value and to treat yourself with respect, whether it's in taking care of your health or in chasing your dreams or in respecting yourself. If you can do that for yourself, you can do it for others. So it's the starting point. It's literally the starting point, and I think a lot of us get that wrong. So it's
Right.
vital.
I love it. I love it. Now, I do have an audience question for you.
Mm.
And their question was, in the movie, Ridge learned particular lessons. What lesson would you think that Ridge learned, and how would you advise someone in real life, air quote, to utilize and apply that lesson in their life?
Ridge learned he needs to share his vulnerability with the right people. And both parts of that are important. You got to share your vulnerability with the right people because if you share with the wrong people, it might backfire. And so you got to know your people. And I think that Ridge learned that. And I would imply the exact same thing to myself. If I ever am forgetting that I don't need to try to carry the whole world on my back by myself, then I will reach out to the people I love and try to get that help.
Wow, I love it. I love it. This has been an amazing conversation. Before we end everything, can you leave our audience with a lasting affirmation? And you don't have to overthink it, but if you can just give us an inspiration, whether it could be to motivate us, to just make us to remember what we need to do to keep ourselves together, just any aspiration that you could think of.
I've been thinking about this one a lot actually because like I said, I didn't know I was going to be blessed with this opportunity. I didn't know that I was going to be doing something so impacting for the culture. And so I always say, God's dreams are bigger than yours.
Wow.
God's dreams are bigger than the ones that you even have for yourself. And that's all I keep thinking.
I love it. I love it. Thank you again for your time. This has been a great conversation. And again, I'm definitely going to watch Find and Joy again. It just
A
was
third
such a
time?
Yes, definitely. Is never you can never watch a Tyler Perry film too many times. I don't care what anyone says, especially something that is happy. We don't need any negativity right now. We
Right.
need to see some happy stories on film, some
Yeah.
love stories, some brown love. So I
Yeah.
definitely plan to tune in again this week. And again, you did such a great performance because just seeing a man of color on screen showing vulnerability and loving another women of color is something that we need to see as many times as possible. So definitely from my audience, we definitely just want to thank you for such a great performance.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. I so appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. So before we end everything, tell everyone how they can follow you on social media, how they can stay connected. So just give everybody all your social media handles.
Yeah, you can check me out on Tosin Morohunfola on Instagram. If you can spell my name, you can you can find me.
No problem. We'll make sure to have that correct spelling for you.
Yeah.
So thank you again for your amazing time. And everyone, you guys can go ahead and check out Finding Joy on Amazon right now. It's a beautiful film, nice, quick, beautiful love story to remind us that we can find joy. Don't let the
Yeah.
world tell you that you're at the end of the road. Don't let the
That's
world
right.
define you with grief, with your past, with your
That's right.
upbringing. You don't have to self isolate yourself. You can find joy at any stage in your life. So that's
Yeah.
something, especially during the holiday season. Sometimes people
Yeah.
have that seasonal grief, but just remember that I don't care what you've been through. You can still find joy. As long as there is breath
Absolutely.
in your body, that means you have
Yes.
another chance. So you can always find joy. So thank you guys
Amen.
again. Yes. So thank you guys again for tuning into the Q Chat. Again, this is the lovely Tosin Morohunfola. Please go ahead and follow him. And again, check out Find and Joy. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be safe and remember to go love yourself.
She's a queen.